Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 63rd episode of Track Help. On this fine Sunday evening, and we've got a whole host of footage to go through today. Really looking forward to it. Now that summer season is well and truly here, a lot of people are going to the track. The weather's a lot better. You guys have all got a lot more spare time now. You might be off school, you might have some holiday from work, and that's exactly why we've got so many submissions. We're going to start off today with Philip, who's got some footage of the outdoor track in Sweden. We're going to go through Nadim's footage from rack track, hopefully, once he joins. We're going to move on to Marcel as well. I'm sure Marcel will join at some point soon. Otherwise, we're going to have to move on to Nathaniel's footage, and then we're going to round off with Taha, who's joining for the first time today. We're going to go through some Dubai kart drone footage. Let's kick things off straight away with Philip. Now, Philip, you mentioned you'll be driving on Saturday. Is that for a race on Saturday or another practice session?
No, it was just a practice session. I trained with my dad, so
All right.
we trained like fighting a lot. We were fighting all the sessions. So yeah, we did 3 sessions, but this was the best one.
Amazing. So is he the driver in the blue helmet in front?
Yeah.
Cool. So would you say you're on similar level, or maybe you're a bit faster than him?
I'll say I'm a bit faster because I put the weights on. So
Yep.
I'm 85 kilos and he's 80 without weight. So
Okay.
yeah, I'd say I'm faster, but yeah.
Nice. It's been a couple of weeks we've seen this footage, and did you try out any of the lines that we discussed from last time? Did it make a difference, you feel?
Turn 2 I tried to brake a bit later, but this kart had like no brakes. It was so bad. So
Wow.
yeah.
You know, from kart to kart, especially in the rentals, is really your luck on what kind of performance you get. Some might have really good handling, but just very poor straight line speed. On some of them, the brake pads might be very, very worn. I know from experience, I nearly took a driver out just by having poor brake pads. And then some karts will be a rocket, you know, they'll be very, very fast on the straights. The last race I did, which was last week, it was a championship round, our national championship. It was so good on the straights, but it had terrible handling. It's like understeering in every corner. So although, you know, I'd pull away on the straights, people would catch me in the corners. So it's about adapting to that. I mean, how did you adapt to the no brakes pretty much that this kart, or poor brakes it had?
I tried to brake a bit earlier than usual. So
Yeah, exactly. That's the smartest thing to do. Now, normally it goes against your driving style. You have a certain approach, but that's the thing you want to train for now. Is whenever you jump into a kart, ideally a different kart in each session, within 3 laps, you need to know pretty much everything about it. How's the top end? How's it in the corners? How are the brakes? And then you adjust your driving to that straight away. What you'll find is if you're just starting in karting or you're inexperienced, you'll let these things affect you. So you'll be like, oh, I got no brakes. So then mentally it's affecting you, and then on the track you're not sure how to adjust. Or you know, if the kart is slower, maybe if you're inexperienced, you might just keep driving the same way. By gaining track time and driving these poor karts, you'll realize that there's a way around it. Now, of course, that doesn't mean just by training your driving style, you're going to be the fastest on track with this car. No, but at least you're trying something different to maximize what you can out of it. I see it's a bit of back and forth between you and your dad over here. He's defending quite hard. Did you discuss that before? Like, look, you can't be easy on me, or were you just playing with him and then just going for a move?
well, I mean, I didn't try the best because I mean it was pretty fun to battle with him.
Yeah.
But he defended pretty well, I must say.
Perfect. Coming towards the end of the session, so basically you switch positions over here. I think he comes back. What was the best lap time you could get out of this kart? I know you're battling though.
Yeah, 1:05.5 with battling though, so I could have gone a lot faster.
Yeah. You think it's valuable experience gained though?
What?
You think it was valuable experience that you gained by doing this
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
taking?
Yeah, definitely. We did 3 sessions, and it helped me a lot with my battle
Yeah,
experience.
and that's it. You want to try to replicate some kind of battle which might happen in the race. Do it in
Mm.
practice, and especially someone you can arrange this with, like a friend or a family member. Yeah, look, you gotta be Sergio Perez on me. You gotta defend, and
Yes.
you gotta try to be Lewis, who's trying to pass him.
Mm.
Who's your favorite F1 driver?
I mean, one of the Ferraris, or even Oscar Piastri. I mean, his mentality is, yeah,
There you go. So
yeah,
to be attacking, you gotta think Oscar Piastri, right? He would
yeah.
be aggressive here. He wouldn't hold back.
No.
Any final things about this session then? Maybe some specific points you want to discuss, maybe some specific corner or so.
Yeah, just want to, see what you could help me with when I'm fighting, because when I'm fighting, I don't have a lot of experience, so I need a bit help
It's a
with
great
fight.
question. I got a very similar question from Khalfan, one of the drivers from Al Forsan track. He actually messaged me and he said, look, when I defend, I feel that I'm not only slowing myself down, I'm slowing those behind me down, and then those who might be in front of me just pull away.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you change that? Now that you've got to look at the race on a whole. You almost got to zoom out, and you've got to understand what kind of battle you're in. Let's say you're P1 and P2 is behind you, and he's trying to fight you for the lead. So in this case, you had a poor kart. It had its issues. I would tell you, Philip, defend. You're in the race lead. You got nothing to lose over here. Give them a hard time. Let's say you're in 5th position with the same kart, it's got those problems, and there's somebody behind you in 6th. Now, they're closing on you, most likely going to pass you soon. They might have a better kart, they just might have better straight line speed, whatever. The point is, 4th position, who's in front of you, might be like a second or so in front. So the more you battle him, right, more you battle or defend from P6, the more time you're going to lose to. You've got to make a strategic decision. What lap number am I on? If it's early in the race and there's a quicker guy behind you, you might fight him less or almost let him through and try to follow him to catch the driver in front.
Yeah.
So I'm compromised in P5. P6 might have the pace to catch P4. Let's do a quick switch and then just see how much you can close on. What I realized in my experience, by mentally being aware of which battles to pick in a race, you're able to not only hold on to your position, but maybe even gain in the long term. If you're battling right from lap 1 and then you're in the mid pack, maybe you're 7th, you're 8th, you just lose time to the leaders.
Yeah.
And that's the key in rental cars. I'll give you one last example, and it was from the last round of the championship I did in Lusail. So I was first, and my teammate, let's call him, Tamim, was in second. In qualifying, we finished first and second. In the pre-final, where you don't get any points, but it just sets the grid for the final, we finished first and second. So then for the final, we said, look, we've got 12 laps, right? We do not have the fastest cars because we do a kart draw. Everyone knows what numbers we get. We saw that we had the slower karts compared to those behind. So we said, look, if we battle from lap 1, they're going to catch us and we're probably going to lose the chance to win. So we said, look, as soon as the race starts, we're going to go off at the same time as a rolling start. So we're doing some communication where obviously we set the pace. It's like a safety car restart, right? Where when the driver in front goes, everyone goes. So we communicated, we're going to start together, leave a gap to the guys behind. The first 9 laps, you won't believe, we're bump drafting, bumper to bumper, pushing each other along, and we created just about a 3-second gap. 3 seconds might sound like a lot, but across 9 laps, because we weren't battling, we were sticking to the line, that's how we were able to get in front. Then those last 3 laps, wow, that was like, clean racing, but on the limit. Dive bomb, switchbacks, we're going back and forth with each other. And obviously that's the laps where it counts, right? If we did all that battling on lap 3, we'd probably be demoted down places. So, conclusion of all this, pick your battles, be smart, even try to speak to your competitors, right, before the race or whatever. If you can't do that, then in the race, identify. Maybe he's going to be quick at the beginning part of the race, let him through, let me try and follow forward. catch those in front.
Yeah, it was like the last championship race we did
Yeah.
on Gran Turismo because I was
Yes.
in the lead. The guys behind were fighting, but they were a lot
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
faster.
yeah. Classic example. That was what not to do, because I think
Yeah,
those guys had the pace, but the racecraft wise, they were holding each other up just by battling. And although you were a few tenths off, just by sticking to your line, staying consistent, you were able to maintain that gap, and you just had to let them retire.
yeah,
So let us know how it goes, Philip. Are you able to record these races with your GoPro, or they don't allow GoPros?
yeah. No, I could record. The next race is
Nice.
on Tuesday, and I also was thinking if I was in like fifth,
Yeah.
and the guy ahead is like around 3 seconds, we say, and I have another guy behind me. Should I push or should we like bump draft to the guys in front?
I always say if you're not on the podium or you're not first, always try to work forward to get ahead.
Yeah,
It's because what's the point of battling for fifth or sixth when you can maybe catch up to a podium or the race win? So whenever you see that chance, yeah, I'd either signal tap the back of your helmet, push me forward, or if he really wants to pass you, let him through in such a way where you don't lose time, he doesn't lose time, and then you can follow him through.
yeah. Thank you.
No problem at all. That was a great bit of chat about analysis of racing. And what we're going to do is welcome in Marcel. What's up, Marcel? Welcome back to Track Help.
Cheers, mate. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. I was very surprised to see you got a wet session, a really wet session.
Yes.
The weather wasn't so great on Saturday.
It was horrible.
Well, it's a bit of different footage we got this time. It's going to be of your sons. Nadim hasn't joined, so what we'll do is go straight into Marcel's footage, and then we'll go on to Nathaniel, and hopefully we'll have time to round off to go through Taha's query about Kart Drone. So this is 2 clips. We got a 3-minute and an 8-minute. Should we watch both of them, Marcel? You can pick out the best parts.
Watch a while because it's the combined heat because GoPro is cutting off at 4 gigs around that. So you can, but it's just for fun to watch, and it's nothing what he wants to learn from it. So
absolutely. Which one was I recognized you in one of the videos? I think that's the second one. Were you in front momentarily?
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
I'll bring up that second one actually. I thought that was quite nice.
No, I'm not sure. I did.
Or maybe that wasn't you. That was someone else.
Yeah, I did start. Yeah, that's me in front.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, finally. Okay. My audio settings were very, very low. Right. You can tell already it's a very gloomy day. Lots of rain. Was this the case from the morning at that time?
No, we booked it the night before because we saw the weather changing every minute, and we booked it because it was dry at that time. And
yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. So, how often have you driven in the rain?
This is extreme.
Yeah, because we'll see on track now.
I have a lot of wet tracks, but not during the rain and pools, and I was soaked within 2 quarters.
Yeah. You didn't have a wetsuit on.
No, absolutely not.
That's something you wouldn't expect to have in summer, but you know what? You always got to keep it maybe at the back of the car. Is that not you in front?
Yeah, that's me in front. I started also in front.
I was gonna say. So it's nice to see both of your perspectives. What are you sort of doing in these sessions to find grip and adjust your driving? It's slightly different to the dry, obviously.
Yeah, I do 2 things. Of course, the wet. Of course, I do the human ABS. I learned from you. But also, I tried leaning in sometimes because
Interesting.
Just to try it out because no time was set here. Of course, the sound is gone now because he got water in the mic.
Okay.
And what maybe you can see it in the coming hairpins. First, a little chicane. the little river.
Yeah, literally.
I use my steering wheel to straighten up and turn in, straighten up, turn in, because I want momentum and grip. Maybe you can see it. It's hard to see. That's not because I'm losing control, but I'm gaining control by that.
Mm-hmm. So sharp turning initially.
Yeah, and then pulling and pushing the wheel all the time.
Yeah,
left, right, left, right.
Gotcha. Yeah, in these conditions, it's literally like Mario Kart because you're gonna drift, right? And then you're trying to keep the momentum high as well because you'll get the rear end to step out, then it becomes on the limit of losing the kart and then just about skidding through the corner. But some of the best conditions you can practice on. I mean, there's these stories of Lewis Hamilton, Jensen Button especially. His dad just used to send him out on track with slick tires. Apparently his dad couldn't afford the wet tires, so he just sent him out for laps. But what great experience you gain. And
yeah, especially him because he wants to go do SWS or Dirt Rental Championship. And it might be raining and he really needs the but when you see after this happen, you get the corner left right.
Yeah.
I cannot steer in as he does because I do the rain line more or less.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a bit early, but he found grip here, and I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, look at this line. This is
and he's almost a switchback. He's so much faster in the rain nowadays.
I think what he did on this occasion was really nice, using all the outer part of the track, conservatively bringing it right to the edge. And what you'll notice is front tires eventually bite. He gets that rotation. At low speed, he's able to cross the puddle, no problem. And this is all, low RPMs, low speed, so you're able to navigate your way through. You gain a bit on the exit, though. I think although you took, more meters throughout the left-right, you gain that gap back again on exit, which was interesting.
The moment he passes me, that's in about one and a half round, I think.
That'd be interesting to see how he does.
I never did see him back again.
Well, this is it. Practicing overtaking and even defending in the rain is another thing entirely different, because in a race scenario, this is how it's going to be. Now, obviously, there's more pressure on the race. You want to make up positions quickly. So how much more are you going to push in your car? What risk are you going to take? This is a nice switchback.
There was the one. Yes. Bye-bye.
So staying on the outside, he cuts in slightly closer, takes a bit of that inside curb. And then
I lost it a little bit there. I was a bit too wide.
Yeah. As you come on, just getting a bit of wheel spin as well. But that was a nice move. And in these conditions, then it's about feeling the car, how much.
Everything is on feeling. You're absolutely right.
That's it. And that's why it's worth sacrificing your clothes and, maybe even your health sometimes. How are you the day after now?
We both had a big smile when we stepped out of this.
Okay.
We were soaking wet. It wasn't that cold, so it was not that terrible, but
you didn't get
nothing was dry anymore. Really nothing.
No, when these conditions happen, I always encourage you to go for them and then practice different techniques, body position. The best thing I like to do in these conditions is the snap steering. So you get a lot of understeer anyway because there's no grip.
Yeah.
So I like to go for a sharp early turn, hold that steering angle, let the kart understeer on that corner entry, but eventually the front tires will grip. They'll bite to the track and you'll feel this pivot that, now I'm straightened up again. So that snap steering combined with a bit of leaning as well, it's a really, really nice flow and momentum you can get in the rain. And then was it 2-3 sessions you guys did this day?
No, we did 2 because we were really wet. It's a national holiday tomorrow, a sort of Christian thing. I don't know, but I don't believe so. But we're going to do 3 sessions tomorrow, but that will be almost dry or dry.
Yeah, a really nice example of pushing the limits over here on this lap. Full speed into the first corner, applying brakes gradually.
Yeah, he's not the ABS, but he managed to get one wheel on the rumble and then he gets grip. The rumble is grip in the rain. So
definitely. It's useful to do human ABS when you feel the kart going off, right? Like I'm understeering too much. I'm probably going to go into the grass. Then you go for that technique. If you're able to manage it just with a hard braking technique or a gradual technique, just to slow it down enough. Use the steering wheel as well, sharp turn to reduce that speed. That's more than sufficient. What was your best lap time across the sessions for you and for Suzanne?
He was around 2.3 seconds faster per lap.
Okay.
He had a 55 and I had a 57 something.
Yep. And that was the fastest you could have got it to?
Sorry?
That was the fastest you got, 55 and 57?
Yeah, we did 2 hits in both heats. It was a 55 for him and a 57 for me. Yeah. Although it was a little bit better in the circumstances in the second heat, but the karts were a bit less. So yeah. Okay, so be it.
Honestly,
really good after the second session, a group of guys came to us because there were more people on the track, and they said, "You drive here more often, right?" Yes, you passed me 4 times, so at least I can pass someone. So I was happy. No, I'm not that bad.
We're relatively regular. I mean, not too.
Yeah,
regular,
relatively.
Every week, you know.
No. But his talent I don't have, and I don't have the ambition anymore, of course.
No, these conditions are all about having some fun, and
it was
you
really
don't have
fun.
to be the fastest in the dry to be quick in the wet. It's 2 different things. But yeah, it's great to see the willing to push, willingness there from obviously your son's POV over here. And that's what it's about. You know, if you're not finding yourself almost going off the track and things, what's the point of going in the rain? Are you pushing hard enough?
That's why I'm not posting the second heat, because he was in corner 2. He was doing a 360 and ended up in the barrier. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember some old wet footage you posted from before. That was a different track, right? Remember that?
No, it's both even, but it's the difference in wetness is really great. It's this was really bad.
Gotcha. Any final things you wanted to discuss? Any questions you had about that footage, Marcel?
No, not really. I had a lot of fun. That's all.
We're really happy to review that with you. Thanks a lot for submitting it as well. We got a couple of questions on YouTube over here, which we'll take. We got Ryan. Let me just share my screen over here as well. Or Raya, sorry. Raya's asking, leaning out plus early turn helps with severe understeer in the rain. Absolutely, right? That's the technique. If you watch the quick drivers from outside the track, you'll see sharp pivot on the steering wheel to the left or the right, early, and then really, really leaning. You'll see them putting their weight into the corners of the kart seat. And what that will do is eventually scrub speed. So that sharp turning and holding it reduces your speed enough. So by the time you get to the appropriate time in the corner, your car will grip up. Austin's asking, I've seen your videos about trail braking, but on karts, really only the last 95% matter. So could you clear that up, what it means when you say trail off the brakes, like in a road tax, for example? That's a great question. And I think that was a great bit of feedback that Ryan Norberg, who's an elite pro kart driver. I say pro kart driver, he does the Miami series. In UK, pro kart is a completely different series, but professional kart driver. And yeah, he made a great point about trailing off the brakes and how essentially the movement in the pedal only matters towards the latter part. Now, when it comes to trailing off the brakes, see, the general idea is to gradually release as you get closer to the apex. And then from kart to kart, how, obviously it's set up, how stiff your brake pedal is, that will depend. So on some brake pedals, there's not much play and leeway. Others, right, you have a lot more. But the idea with the trail brake and braking in general, I'd focus on the first part, is that lockup, right? Once you can get hard on the brakes, corner entry, then it's just a matter of waiting for the kart to reduce enough speed where you can come off. And yeah, you don't want to come off too soon because obviously, slowing the kart down so quickly. So what I'd recommend focus on your initial lockups, and then once there's enough, the cart slow down enough for the corner, and come off. We're going to move on to Nathaniel, because it looks like Nadim has not joined. We'll review Nathaniel's footage, and then we're going to go over to Taha as well to round off. No worries at all, Marcel. Now, Nathaniel, speaking of Pro Karts, this is some Pro Kart footage, and we'll give our viewers a bit of context of what Pro Kart means in the UK. Essentially, this is a race kart chassis. This does look like an OTK, perhaps. Do you know which chassis this was? Maybe Birel?
I have no idea.
I'm trying to figure. Who could tell? Let us know in the comments. What chassis do you think is below these stickers? Obviously ADX. Then you decided to go with.
Yeah, that's the only one I knew of.
Yeah. I think that's the most well-known one right now, especially on social media. When you search for, arrive and drive Pro Karts, that's probably what comes up. You'll see, because Daniel's got the wide POV. You've got dual Honda GX engines. Is that correct? Double engine, one on the right, one on the left.
Yeah, there was another Pro Kart which was slower than me, but everyone else was Rotax, so it was a bit scary because I didn't want to crash with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the mix Rotaxes and the Pro Karts. Well,
yeah,
it's a tight track. First of all, Rye House is not one of those wide ones like PFI where you got plenty of space and you can do those dual sessions. So first time obviously in the kart, and then having to look out for quicker karts. I mean, how was the overall experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was really good, but because I had 1 hour of driving, it was 10-minute session. In the last 2 sessions, I was my neck was completely done.
Wow, okay.
I couldn't hold it straight. So it was
more than Club 100.
Yeah, I mean, I did Club 100 last week, and it wasn't that bad. But Club 100 last week, I mean, that was just horrible. It was 55-minute driving, and there were 5-minute time between sessions, and you had to take your balance, transponder everything off.
Wow.
And then you had no time, and it was really hot as well. So that was really physical. But I felt like this was more physical on the neck. That was just on the body kind.
Yeah, this is the hybrid between a rental car and a Rotax, or the top of the range, professional car, because it's the chassis which is a lot lighter. That's going to give you more speed. You got the twin engines, which will give you a decent amount of horsepower and speed compared to Club 100 lap times and the regular lap times that Pro Kart does here. Were you able to compare? They do run Club 100, right, at Rye House, so they've done around before.
I think I asked them, and they said, something like 5 to 10 seconds, but I don't think it was 10. I'm not sure. I think it was around 5.
Faster.
The Pro Kart.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what Pro Kart UK were telling me when I did this similar test day in PFI. Obviously, in PFI, you've got the longer straights and all, so it sort of balances out, especially if you compare it to Club 100, which has the junior Rotax, albeit restricted engine and all. But how was the overall driving experience compared to Club 100? Because did you drive the Club 100 before this?
I drove it.
It was the other way around.
Completely pouring wet, so it was
okay.
No.
So there's the differences between the two.
I mean, this one, the steering is just, you don't have to steer it, and it just
very precise, right?
Yeah, and the throttle as well and brakes. That was also.
Do you feel this is quite instant, or it's slower in acceleration?
It's definitely slower than Club 100 because it's 4-stroke. But it was just the pedal was the travel wasn't as big as rentals. That's
a very, very good point. I mean, speaking of that, in the brakes, was there much travel?
Yeah.
Did you feel there's a lot of play or less?
It was less play, I think.
Yeah. Well, similar to what Austin was talking about. In terms of braking is all about the last 95%, because there's not much play in the brakes. Now, going back to what we are essentially comparing, a heavy rental car with a quicker engine That's the Club 100. And here we've obviously got a lighter chassis, slightly less powerful engine, but also the benefit of fresh tires, right? How was that? Driving with different tires.
Yeah, the grip was like a lot. I could definitely feel that.
It's interesting to know what sort of tires. Do you know what make these were?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it was.
That's something to learn and ask for next time. And then
maybe it was Dunlop.
Most probably, because they run these for, number one, they're hard compound tires. Normally the ones they put for testing on pro karts. And they're basically the ones you'll run in endurance races, because they do like these 6-hour endurance races in these karts. Obviously, the engines can handle that. The inaugural 24-hour race, which actually happens at Quayside, Middlesbrough, in these karts, they've got a pro kart category. They're obviously going to run harder compounded tires. If you compare that to maybe some of the other guys who are on track with you that day, especially in my experience when I do Rotax Senior or generally all the Rotax classes, we like to run either the Vega tires, which are a lot softer, very, very grippy and fast in terms of lap time, or the Mojos, which are not as soft as the Vegas, but they definitely last a lot longer. I'd say about half a second slower, my experience at our track. So all those factors, play a difference. So you'll see that those guys who are all passing you, they've got more powerful engines, they've got probably softer tires. That's why they're going to be that much faster. With the pro kart, you're in between, right? You're in between the rental kart and the Rotax car. So here it's about changing maybe slight few things in your driving style. Number one, getting used to neutral steer, right? That's an easy thing to know. How can you, steer with as less input in as possible? You probably find it was a lot easier to do that, right? Because the kart's so sensitive. And then finding the right braking technique. This is always interesting. At the end of the day, it's 4-stroke engine you're driving with. So should you brake a bit earlier and then try to keep revs high? Or should you trail brake and carry a bit more speed on corner entry? What did you find was best for your braking?
I didn't really want to do anything. I wasn't comfortable with it, so I just broke kind of early. But in the description, there's like the fastest lap, and I think I was starting to brake later for that and harder. But yeah,
this is obviously a 1-hour session, so I assume you broke it up into, is it 15-minute intervals or 20-minute sessions?
Oh, it's 10-minute sessions. So.
10-minute sessions, okay. So you had plenty of time to go through. This is the fastest lap, one more time. Let's just go through it. High speed through the winding right-hander. Coming ahead to our braking point of the hairpin. Throwing the kart into the apex, getting ready for second hairpin. Attacking that corner, looks nice. Through the second sector now. Fast left, into the right. Coming towards final part of the track now. Nice usage of the curbs there, if you notice. So if you watch on entry, cutting across to the left-hand side. That's nice. Cutting back across to the right. That's really nice. And then across the line for a 41.7 now. What did the team say about your performance overall throughout the day?
Yeah, they said it was 1 second off pole. But
okay.
Yeah, James is the person who's running it that day. He said I did pretty well, but yeah.
Yeah, look, you've got a benchmark in number one in terms of lap time, and you've got a whole load of experience. What I say, the first time you do anything new in karting, so you're driving a new kart, a new track, that's all going to be data that's processing in your mind. And the next time you go there, you're beyond that learning curve. So you know what to expect in terms of how the car handles or how the track layout goes. So always, the next time you go, you're going to have more confidence. And now that you set a 41.7 to be, I think you can definitely get into the low 41 soon. What was the overall day like? Was there maybe some debrief in between? Did they look at your footage in between the sessions, or was it just drive, brake, drive, brake?
Yeah, it was just drive and brake. But James did tell me like a few things to do, like to brake later and to use more like the curve and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't look at my footage. There wasn't really time for that. And also, I kind of wanted to go through the footage because next month I'm probably gonna do road tax here. So
Yep.
I was wondering
That's
if
excellent.
there's anything like a big difference between it and like.
Based on what we've seen over here now, there's two things that I'd really like to go through, and these two things we can hopefully use with our pen to explain better. So we can hopefully share our entire screen.
The one thing that happened to the track is they changed the layout after the two hairpins. So this is the first one, and then.
So the basics of owner karting, and especially having spoken to some of the quickest guys who are around, especially in the Middle East, and some of the top driver coaches over here, the first thing that we always try to master is our hand position, right? Where are you comfortable with your hands? Middle, top, bottom?
Probably right there. Yeah, just middle, tiny bit lower.
Yeah, middle, tiny bit lower. Cool. We always need to get used to having our dominant hand on the outside. So if it's a right-hand corner like we're seeing over here, a lot of our force when we drive these karts should come from the outside hand, right? And we're gripping the wheel in such a way where we can go for a pushing motion, right? So when we push the steering wheel away from us, our left hand in this case, for this right-hand corner, we're naturally pushing some weight into the back of the seat and pushing our hand forward. So what this does, it manipulates the kart to handle in a certain way. Number one, when you go for that motion of using the outside hand on whatever corner to be the dominant one to push, it's easier to apply neutral steer. Because what you'll find is moving your body weight around in these light karts, whether it's your hands, whether it's your shoulders, right? It's going to react in a positive way or a negative way. You've got to make sure it's going to be to your advantage. For example, coming to an opposite style corner, there's going to be a tight left-hand hairpin. What's the first thing I'm trying to do over here? A right hand, pushing hard against the steering wheel, right? Feel free when you push away, push that steering wheel away, put your weight into the seat, right? Almost envision yourself as if you're going to break that kart seat. Obviously, you're not going to break the seat. It's strong enough to contain your force, but have that motion in mind. So that's step one. And then the second thing is going to be with your braking. I like how they were bringing that up to you towards this test day. What you really want to do is try to brake late, right? The great benefit we have in these karts is the telemetry, right? So something like an Alfano, Unipro, Micron, whatever you use, when you connect it up to the laptop, did you see any of your telemetry, by the way?
He didn't do anything. The only thing he helped me with was just saying what I need to do.
Cool. No, in future you can request this to see your telemetry on the on a laptop. You can see exactly where you're braking, how much force you're using on braking, how the kart reacts, how quickly it's decelerating. When you can compare that data to some of the top drivers, right, and you'll see it clearly on the graph, just by braking a bit later, they're able to gain a few hundredths of a second, maybe a tenth of a second. So the idea is we're going to be approaching these corners with the intention to brake hard and almost cause almost a locking sound. When you watch the cars from outside, obviously you might have had a chance that day to watch some of the road taxis from outside. Or were you on the track with them most of the time?
Yeah, well, I was on the track most of the time. I think maybe one session before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could watch one session when I arrived.
It's really good to understand, what kind of braking technique we're looking for. Go to a hairpin, go to a high-speed corner, or not high-speed corner, a straight, which is just at a heavy braking point, and just stand there and watch these karts, especially the road taxis, go round and round. And you'll see there's this scrubbing sound, a screeching sound that happens. What that is that initial brake pressure. There's a hard brake pressure. They're getting the rear to lock slightly, right? And that's the whole point. They're going very, very aggressive into the corner, very, very late. Combining that with aggressive push against the steering wheel, their dominant hand is on the outside. And they're getting the kart to slow down as quickly as possible as they get closer to the apex. So they've hit the brakes hard. Let's just give you an example. Coming towards the hairpin. Hit the brakes hard now. hear that screeching sound. And what you're doing is holding the brakes, slowing the kart down. And now as we close the distance towards our apex, right, you know it's soon going to be time to come off, right? So we're going to be releasing. And at the apex now, start applying some gas. So what you don't want to do is go too aggressive on the braking. Let's say I brake hard now, and then I feel that the kart is going too quickly. And then after the apex, I've released my brakes here, and then I'm going onto the gas, right? That's the risk reward you're going to play around with these karts with. So try to be right on the limit with that. The thing is, telemetry really, really helps. And that's the third point I want to get to. In these karts, you know, the time can be found simply by reviewing your fastest lap and looking at the different traces, whether it's braking, accelerating. And the best thing is the GPS will, you know, match up to the piece of telemetry that you're on. So you'll see literally frame by frame or second by second exactly how the kart is reacting, whether it's the gas or the braking. And when you're on a team like this, you usually have open data. You know, they'll show you the quickest guy's telemetry and they'll compare it with yours, right? And there's going to be small refinements you're going to make. This guy's braking a little later through here, but he's picking up the gas slightly earlier, so he's getting a better exit. And those concrete, you know, examples of improvements are the difference between, you know, guessing out on track, am I doing this right, am I doing that wrong, and having absolute proof that, look, this is exactly what you need to focus on. Turn 7, you're braking too early, try a later brake, and maybe keep the reps high a little more. So just to wrap up then, going forward, whether it's road taxis, whether it's pro karts, try to use that outside hand to be the dominant one, yeah?
Yeah.
Pushing against the steering wheel on corner entry, and then being harder on those brakes, late and hard on the brakes. That's your general driving style you want to use in these karts.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a quick question as well.
Yep.
I'm doing Club 100 now, and they do tests. So 30-minute test is £100.
Okay.
In ADX, they do 30-minute tests for £200.
So double the price.
Yeah, double the price. So I was wondering, do you think Club 100 is better for the price as well, because it is half the price?
And is it £200 for the pro kart or the road tax?
It's £200 for pro kart and road tax, but for pro kart you get 1 hour and road tax you get half an hour.
Okay, interesting. Remember, the road taxes are always going to be the premium and the most expensive. But if you're planning to, I mean, which series are you planning to do after this? Pro kart, like the GX series, or the road tax?
Probably just stick to Club 100 because I'm doing the experience, not the main championship. Next year, hopefully, the main championship. So
for Club 100.
Yeah. Because road tax is a bit too expensive.
No, then, so that's it. You got to put your goals at the center of everything, right? And if budget is obviously something you've got to look out for, you don't have unlimited funds just to keep going testing. Use it to your advantage. So if right now and for the next year especially, my priority is Club 100, put that budget towards Club 100. You can get 2 for the price of 1, right? If you compare it. It's good that you did this experience, right? With Pro Car, you got an idea of how it feels. But if in the immediate term you're not doing road tax or Pro Car, put your focus on Club 100 to become as successful as possible there.
Yes, and thank you. And also, just another question: they do pre-test for the main championship. Do you think pre-testing is better, or spreading like testing out over weeks?
Honestly, it depends on the track, right? Is that pre-test only at one location?
Like Club 100 goes to many different tracks, so it would be at the track. It would be the day.
Okay, it'll be the day before, and at every venue you'll have that chance to do it.
Yeah, in the main championship next year. If I do.
Otherwise, what's the other option?
For this championship, there's no pre-tests, or they do testing like in the year. I'm not sure.
At random tracks.
Yeah, at random tracks.
Yeah. Any track time is good track time, but I think you're at a level where, you know the Club 100 karts, and maybe it's just a matter of getting used to the karts on that specific track. So the pre-event test will be perfect, round by round to do that. Personally, that's what I like. If I have a competition coming up, I try to book practice sessions the day before, just to iron out anything, the rustiness, the nerves that you might have, and obviously getting a benchmark down. That always helps. So remember, constantly in karting, when you hit the track, you're learning. So when you can put that initial day down for laps and a benchmark, then you're going into the second day more confident, rather than being on the back foot.
Thank you.
No problem at all. We'll move on to Philip and then round off with Taha. Philip, you got a question?
Yeah, I have a question because
Go for it.
In like 2 weeks, I think, there is a Le Mans at my local go-kart track.
Yep.
And it will be my first time if I do it, because it costs a lot, like $300. So yeah.
Le Mans meaning start or endurance race?
No, endurance runs.
Karting
for
endurance.
3 hours. But
Karting endurance.
yeah, exactly.
Or it's at the Le Mans track?
No. A karting endurance
Gotcha.
at my track. But do you have any like advice or something, because it's the first time?
Absolutely. Endurance races, I always would like to refer you to my video. Have you seen my video on endurance racing?
No, I don't think.
So first thing I want you to do is watch KTips top 5 tips for an endurance race, right? And this will show you the key things to focus on. There's a lot involved, not only with the driving, but the strategy, right? Yeah. And the idea, just in short, because we're going to have to move on to the next driver shortly, is prepare a strategy. So understand who's going to be on your team, what the overall strategy is, pit stops, because the organizers will decide, what the minimum stint time is, what the minimum weights are, when you have to, come into the pits, when you can't come into the pits, all these things. And then prioritize your goal. So are you there to just have fun, or do you want to try and win?
I mean, I try to win, obviously, but
try to win. Yeah.
Yeah, try to get a good
best possible position.
Yeah,
if that's
exactly.
the case, I'm afraid you're going to have to prioritize the fastest driver, right? So I know everybody's going to be, paying to race, but if you want to maximize position, you got to make a decision that, look, the fastest guy is going to do the most driving. If you guys are similar on pace, within a tenth or two, okay, you can balance it out. But if somebody's 1 second slower and one guy's, 1.5 seconds faster, you got to strategically put everyone's driving time so it maximizes the team. Now, the thing is, even if you have a slower driver on your team, they're going to have to drive at some point. That's just the rules. Everyone has to drive. So plan out when they can do their stint, and then just have the quick guys driving where they can maximize positions. Even if you lose time with the slower guy, at least the quicker guys can make it back up for your team.
Yeah, but my dad is not that slow. I mean, he's just 1 or 2 tenths behind.
There you go.
Me.
So you don't have to sacrifice his track time too much. See, the slower that they are, the more you're gonna have to sacrifice.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Be sure to check out the video, Philip. We're gonna round off today's footage with Taha. Before we do that, we're going to say hi to Romain. What's up, Romain? Welcome to Track Help. Can you hear us? If you got a mic, be sure to unmute. All right. Looks like we can't hear him. No problem. What I'm going to do is share my screen. Taha, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Amazing. Taha, whilst we go through your questions, I hope you can see my footage of Dubai Kartdrome in the background. You had a question earlier. Tell me.
Yeah. So, so for example here, so you're turning into this hairpin. Whenever I go into this hairpin that's going upward, I always tend to I'm not sure why, but I always tend to bump up and down, and I lose a lot of time with that.
You're bouncing.
Yeah.
Honestly, my first lap I did on this day, I had the very exact thing. It's funny you say that. What you need to understand about the characteristics of this corner is 2 things. So number 1, it's the fastest you're ever going to go on the track. From that last corner, you're building up your speed, topping out at nearly 80 kilometers an hour. Turn 1 is pretty much flat, but turn 2 is where we have problems. Number 1, it's a uphill corner. And then if you look at the track width, it's very, very narrow unless you go over the rumble. Currently, what are you doing? Are you doing a similar line to me where you're going like half on the rumble, or you're staying within the white line?
Yeah, I'm going like almost like a quarter on the rumble.
Okay, so you're taking some of the rumble. What you'll find is that does slightly unsettle the car. And then when you add your braking into that, then it's just about controlling how the cart reacts, right? A lot of the times you'll get what you found over there is understeer through the corner. So hard on the brakes. Cart is bouncing around early on as we come off the rumble. And then I'm having to put excessive steering lock in because the car's just not going towards the apex. And then you end up doing something like this, where you're full lock mid-corner, which is not ideal, and you're missing the apex. So this is all losing time. What I found is we're going to skip to a later lap where we're following Nadim. That's Nadim. Sorry, not Nadim. Yassine, who's in front. He's one of the quicker guys. Is taking this corner with the absolute intention of slowing fast out. So what I found is sacrificing time on corner entry is going to be the key. The reason why you're probably bouncing is because you're going too quick through this corner. It's very, very deceptive, right? We all know it's a hairpin, but it's a very, very sharp hairpin. What I do, and what I end up doing, is maximum braking at the start of the rumble, right?
Oh, okay.
So if you notice, in relation to the corner, it's very, very early. But what that allows me to do, and on this lap, for example, I was very, very aggressive. I was going 4 wheels. I don't recommend you do that in SWS race. But similar to Yassine, early on the brakes, get our turn in done, slowing the cart down. And as we come off the rumble now, this is all gas, right? And watch, gas, steering wheel is straightened up. We're going to close the gap to the apex and even take a bit of curb as well to set up for the next part. So to avoid bouncing at turn 2 at Kartdrome, I advise you just to go for an earlier brake. Early brake means the cart will slow down quickly. And as soon as the cart is slowed down, ideally before the apex, now we start applying gas slowly. 25%, 50%, 75%. And at the apex, we should be 100% gas.
All right, all right.
Any other questions for Kartdrome?
So that hairpin, okay, and then if we go on the straight, yeah, and then here, do we curb it, or is it?
Yeah, ideally you want to take some curb, similar to what we did over here. Let's just watch the two drivers. So this is a nice example. The thing is, you're driving the junior karts, right?
Yeah.
It's been 10 years since I drove the junior karts, but that is where I got my most success. If you go into my profile on SWS, you'll see all the race wins and podiums I got in junior. One of the most fun series I've ever done. And no, I do recall at that time, yeah, you got to use some of the curb, especially in the seniors as well. If you notice how we hit the curb towards the latter part of the corner, 2 wheels over, and that hooks your cart to the left, right? Most important thing for this left-hander, we're prioritizing the corner which comes in front. So the reason we're staying so much on the left side is so that we can have a wider entry for the right that's coming up. So now we're on the left side, it becomes easy to take this tight right-hand corner. If we're where my yellow box is, somewhere over here on the inside, this corner then becomes too tight. So we have to brake more or lift off the gas more.
And for these tight hairpins, I use threshold braking, right?
Yeah, threshold braking all the way. So it's a hard brake to get the rear end of the cart to step out a little, and then back on the gas. Early brake, early gas.
So like for threshold, so for example, we go back to that first hairpin. Do you, so once we're off the rumble, do I like go all the way on the brakes or like 80%?
On the brakes, no, I'd go to maximum pressure. So how are you going to get the lock up? It's at maximum pressure. Are you talking about this hairpin?
The first one.
Which corner is that? The one before this?
Yeah, the one right after the straight.
Turn 2, this one.
Yeah, turn 2.
Yeah. Definitely. Here you want to be 100%. Yeah. So think about it. The tighter the corner, the more pressure. That's the general rule.
All
So
right.
this corner is very, very tight. We're going to be at 100. If it's like a right-hander or a left-hander, I wouldn't go so much on the brakes, right? But here, definitely 100% pressure, nice and early. Get the kart rotated, right? And then early gas.
All right.
Was there anything else before we wrap up for today?
I think that's all good. Yeah.
No. So when is your next race then, Taha?
I think I'll be doing maybe the Teens Cup this week.
Excellent. Do you know Shuria from Mirkab Racing?
No, I don't.
You'll probably see him there. Say hi from Omar. He's a good friend of mine, and just like you, he's been watching the KTips videos. So Shuria, he has a black helmet, and I believe he'll probably have a black suit on as well.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Thank you so much for joining, Taha. Be sure to join a future track help session so we can go over any further questions that you might have. We're gonna round off with Philip because you've got your hand up, Philip.
Yeah, I just have two things to say. Of the Gran Turismo races, do you think that we will run those once again, like in the future, or no?
I don't think so. Right now, honestly speaking, I don't think so. That's just simply because I don't have the time right now. I'd love to. I'd love to. But as things are going, I don't think there's going to be much time for that.
Yeah, and also in the summer, I will be going to Italy for like more than a month. So
Amazing.
I will be, go karting a lot, 2 new tracks, and
Well, I highly recommend you DM Lorenzo. We're just looking at his post over here. Lorenzo is probably a top driver in Italy. He's part of the academy and he's very responsive. He'll answer your questions and all. So on academy, just search for him and click on chat and just say, look, any track recommendations, any races recommendations. He'll really help you out. Lorenzo is going places. He's got a flagship sponsor on board who's signed him up for 100,000 euros, which is absolutely incredible. And he's put a post up saying these are the races he's probably going to do in terms of FIA World Championship events. And he's got a full calendar up. So I would also advise you, have a chat with Lorenzo, find out how he got sponsors. I believe a lot of this was through mutual connections, right? Because it's certain business owners of some construction companies, I think it was, but he'll tell you better. Essentially, he's a guy who's very much involved in World Championship level karting. He's planning to test F3 as well. I think he's already done that. So send him a DM on the academy.
Yeah, I could text him in Italian because I'm also from Italy. So
amazing. That's going to be even better.
Yeah.
Well, let's round off with that. Was that all, Philip?
Yes.
Superb.
Yes, thank you.
Just to round off for anyone who wants to join the academy, then type in KTips Academy on Google. It's free to join, and you'll get access to weekly track help on Sunday, 6 p.m. GMT. It's a global community, so you're gonna meet drivers from all over the world and connect with them. Find out what races they're doing, how they got started, what their future plans are, and of course benefit from our free karting assistant who'll answer all your karting related questions, and the fitness and diet coach who'll give you a nice plan to follow. Until next week at 6 p.m. GMT, we'll see you all then. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Cheers.